Welcome to episode 3 of the Toronto on Tilt football podcast. I'm Steve Artabello. I'm with Theo Giordano and Anthony Harris. We are Toronto on Tilt. You can find us online, torontoontilt.com. You can find us on Twitter, at Toronto on Tilt. You can find us on YouTube, Toronto on Tilt. See, this is a theme. We managed to get all the names properly, so you can find us everywhere at the same goddamn name. You can find us on Spotify. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Anchor, Breaker, every podcast service except for Google Podcasts, because they're taking their sweet ass time approving us, which just costs the listeners, costs you. But we're here. We're trying to get it done for you people. We're on all the major things. Like, comment, subscribe, tell your friends, share everything around. If you want to know why you should share it around, we're doing all right. We're doing okay. We were undefeated last week. We have some mixed results this week. I did all right. Tony appeared to do all right. Theo had a little bit of problem. It's just a bump in the road. But we'll open up. I'll get to, the LA Rams cashed my bet plus 100 on the money line. They crushed Theo's Eagles. Don't worry, I can't make fun of Theo because I'm a Falcons fan, even though I'm wearing Bills gear. We'll get to that. The Green Bay Packers. I told y'all Aaron Rodgers was a bad man. I told you they were going to win that game by at least 10. I didn't think they were going to win by 21. I didn't think they were going to double the Lions up, but they embarrassed them. That one hit. And me and Theo were on this was Theo's pick. I fully supported it because I thought they were going to win by a mile. And I wasn't expecting Justin Herbert, okay? I was planning for super safe Tyrod Taylor, who, doesn't make mistakes but doesn't make plays, and the Chiefs didn't cover. They still won. But 2-1, not bad. Meatloaf says 2 out of 3 ain't bad. I'll take it. We'll keep moving. I'm in the plus. Theo, how was your week?
Well, I keep getting fucked by this closing line value. I've been killing it getting these lines at the right time. I don't know what's going on with these totals. I got the under 46 in the Bengals-Browns game. Wasn't even close. Just an awful read. That ended up getting bet down to 43. Same thing with the Vikings and Indy, where I got the good closing line value, and the Vikings offense just did absolutely nothing. The Colts should have scored more, but the Vikings, it was like on Red Zone I was watching, I'm like, they're not even showing this team. Like, what's going on with these drives? Chiefs was a bad play too. Tyrod, I'm not gonna say I would have bet the Chargers if Herbert was starting, but I probably would have laid off because a lot of the reasoning was the Tyrod effect. But the defense, the Chargers defense playing against Chiefs, they usually do really well, and they did it again today, or last week. The Seahawks saved my day to make it not a complete disaster. The -4 was hitting the last second. It was really I thought they were going to check away. Pete Carroll looked like that was going to happen, but I got to just fix my bet karma. I had a guy come to my door. What happened last week? I had the bee sting incident, which made me the hottest gambler for a minute, and then it got completely wiped away because I had this guy came to my door. He had this charity thing. You know how I didn't know people still did door-to-door charities. But apparently,
I remember that shit from elementary school, but okay.
I know. It's all online now, but I guess this guy came. He started with this joke, and I was wearing this polo tucked in on his khakis. I looked like a really rich, well-off guy.
God. You
But
look like your name was Chad and you drive a BMW.
I looked like the big douchebag. I had the hat backwards. Not a good look. And the guy was asking. He made some joke about my clothes, saying, "Oh, you look like you're going out somewhere." And I'm like, "What's that supposed to mean?" And he started going to this charity, saying, "Well, the people who aren't doing well off are in this insert place." So I'm like, "Okay."
Oh God.
I said I gave online, and then I didn't donate, and I feel like that just it spiraled me down because I just
You lied.
You can't donate to everything. I've donated to a lot of things. I'm a very generous person, but I don't know.
A lot of money to Bodog and Bet365.
That's not an actual donation. Just going door to door, I just didn't like. I'm froze up. I'm like, I can't, and I feel like it screwed me over. So I need to figure out how to fix that, and I'm going to blame that for the problems that I'm having right now. But overall, just a small loss last weekend, and I think we should hopefully bounce back this week.
Well, that guy was spreading COVID around by going door to door. You should have told him that.
He backed off when the door. He was doing the 6 feet thing. I couldn't even get mad about that.
Oh well.
You need to leave your window open now and hope you get another bee sting. Hope it doesn't get cold enough that they're not coming around anymore, and you got to hope one flies on it and stings you again. We get hot.
I know. I need maybe a different animal.
Sleeping
Good luck with
report.
that, because I mean, bee stings are. I mean, they're not fun, but I would definitely think
I would
that
get
they-
stung every morning if it meant 4-0. I would get stung every morning of my life if it meant 4-0. So
You know, Theo, I appreciate that you take this that seriously, and I'm cool with that. I think you should definitely continue that sacrifice.
Tony, what happened with you?
What happened? I was 2-0 on Sunday. I had the Seahawks just like you. And what was my other one? Indy -3. Those are my two. Those were Seattle was a stressful one, but the Indy one was pretty easy.
But you lost to Thursday Nighter.
I did. I don't like to talk about Thursday.
I mean, you have to mention it. I mentioned my losers.
I know. I would have gotten to it eventually, but I got it at 44, and even then that wasn't even close. I took the under as well. I was really confident in it too. But that happens sometimes. I'm really bad with overs. So you should really fade me whenever I pick an over.
You picked it under. So
Well, you mean a point total.
the hell is going on here? Okay.
Oh, my phone fell, which my keys hold up the thing. So as you can tell, there's a bunch of noises going on. Continue. Pay no attention to me.
Anyways, yeah. So we can. That's the bets you had. So I went 2-3, a little bit of a loss. Steve was the only one who won again, or you both kind of won, but
I'm staying hot.
yeah, we didn't do as well as week 1. So, anyways,
Yeah. Now on to our teams. I guess I'll kick this off. The reason I'm wearing Bills gear, there's not much I could say about the Atlanta Falcons at this point. Like, they're a disaster. They're choke artists. It's not like this team has any better Super Bowl history or, coming through in the clutch history. They don't. Just, it's kind of fun to watch a team that wins, unlike mine. I watched that game, see Mike McCarthy go for 2. They don't get it. Now they're down 9, which means it's a 2-possession game, and I'm excited, and it's over. And then, the Falcons forget the rules on onside kicks. They just completely forget them. They're waiting with the Cowboys for the ball to go 10 yards, even though they can just jump on it and cause the penalty. I want the special team coach fired. I wanted Dan Quinn fired before the season started, and the fact that he had the balls to stand up there after the game and be like, well, I'm going to make no coaching changes here. Your players didn't know the rules. Like, that's a fireable offense in any workplace. If the people that work under you don't know what they're doing, you're a terrible manager of talent. You shouldn't have a job. But no, this embarrassment of an organization will keep carrying Dan Quinn, and this embarrassment of it. I hate this team.
Did they
The
think-
players like him though, Steve.
Huh?
The players like him.
I don't give a shit.
the uninformed players. I guess they thought the ball was going to stop though, eh? Like it looked like that was their reaction. Like we don't want to,
what they did is it looked like they didn't know the rules. They were waiting with the Cowboys for it to go 10 yards. And the second one of the Cowboys, because I've watched this a million times now, boys. The second one of the Cowboys makes a reaction like, I'm going to jump on this ball. That's when the Falcons actually realize, oh, we fucked up. So thank you, Hayden Hurst. I know you had a great offensive game. You literally cost the team. There's other people. There are plenty of other people, but specifically, I remember watching him just walk past the football.
Well, your entire secondary, that was also might have been an issue.
I told you they had no DBs when we did the preseason preview for this. That's a thing. That's just a thing. That's also why I want Thomas Dimitroff gone, because the offense is great, but the defense is terrible. They have 2.5 players. They have Deion Jones, Grady Jarrett, and half a Dante Fowler when he tries.
And Dallas was giving you literally every chance to win that game. Like there was Zeke fumbles early, and
Zeke fumbled twice on the same drive. I told you about the Mike McCarthy stupid decision to go for 2 when they didn't need to. It just Dallas did everything to hand the Falcons that game on a silver platter, and they just completely choked it away. It's an absolute embarrassment. And I like pain, I guess, because I'm a Falcons fan and a Leafs fan, and this is what happens. This is what I get now.
I'm betting Atlanta this week, by the way. Sneak preview. I know, I'm just the more
Theo's just out here. I can't. Obviously, I have no faith in this franchise. Theo, how about your franchise?
So I'm an Eagles fan, like we've mentioned every week so far. I bet against the Eagles. I got a great number, +4 with the Rams. I should have probably just waited for the money line to drop because it was literally never in doubt.
Yeah.
Sean McVay schemed a perfect game. The Eagles do not have any linebackers of quality, and the Rams just took advantage of it. And Goff's looked amazing so far. Carson Wentz is having so many mechanical issues. I don't know what his problem is, but he's looking like he's pressing at every play. He's forcing balls to JJ Arcega-Whiteside, who we've somehow replaced the worst wide receiver in football with an even younger but worse version of Nelson Aguilar.
So he drops it, drop it as much as Aguilar?
JJ just runs around the field. He hasn't caught a ball this year. He's just running around the field, and I don't know what he's doing. He's burning calories. That's what he's doing for the football team.
Burning calories.
But, yeah, the Eagles are – I don't know. It's what I said last week, basically. Carson it just doesn't look good. I don't know how fixable these problems are because the whole linebacking core is just not – you can't work with it. And they don't have Malcolm Jenkins to kind of hide those issues. So it's just now we're starting to hit them where they haven't been drafting well for years. They have a lot of older players, and, it's just going to keep going like this when they play good teams with the Rams who can expose those linebackers. And by the way, if you're looking at props, any tight end yards or touchdowns against the Eagles, just look at those. I don't know what kind of value you have on them, but they seem like, from what I watch during games, the tight ends for any team, no matter who it is, could be Logan Thomas, it could be whoever. They're going to have to produce.
When the linebacking core is decimated, and like you said, at least they used to have Malcolm Jenkins who could take a tight end out of a game. They have nothing. So we haven't really talked about this much. I used to jump on the props a lot. I usually wait for the first 3-4 weeks just to the fantasy prop or betting props is almost like a fantasy thing. When I talk about fantasy, I mean like fantasy football, because you're really looking at, okay, is this defense good against this position? Is this tight end very good against linebackers? Did they have someone that could mess with him? Are they going to put a corner on him? How do they generally play these positions? Same thing with running backs, wide receivers. Who are they playing against? Who's in and out? Yeah, I'd be looking at a lot of props, though. Even though we're only on to week 3, I'd be looking at a lot of props against the Philly linebackers because look what Tyler Higbee did. It was unbelievable. So, Tony?
We'll see the Bengals tight end situation. I don't even know what's going on there. Their guy, what's his name? Uzuo Moa, whatever. Yeah, I think did he tear his Achilles or something on Thursday or something like that. So I don't know what their tight end situation is. But yeah, Colts, big bounce back, laid the smackdown on the Vikings. Never in doubt. -3 was way too easy. I told you guys about it. It was whatever, though. It was good. I was surprised how little they threw the ball, though. It was very Jonathan Taylor oriented, even though the Vikings, that's their strength, is really the run defense right now. And their secondary is a disaster. But Jonathan Taylor, he looked good.
What happened with Hines? Was he just not part of the offense, or?
No, they just wanted to establish Taylor. They just wanted to go all in on him, which,
sorry
for you guys. What?
He got a ton of carries. He got 32, didn't he?
Taylor, yeah, he went correct. He didn't have that many. His yards per carry was just okay, but he scored. It was a productive day. But yeah, if you picked up Hines, I'm sure you're really disappointed. I'm disappointed, but I'm sure there's going to be some more variation going forward. They have the Jets this week, so everyone should feast. But Campbell went down. That's a big loss for them. Paris Campbell's going to be out for a while. He obviously second round pick last year, a lot of potential. They picked him over DK Metcalf.
Yikes.
That's going to be tough without him. But Ty, I think he'll bounce back this week to a certain degree. And as well as Michael Pittman is another guy to watch for. I think he led the team in yards other than Mo Alley Cox, Jack Doyle's replacement at tight end. He had a huge day. But he also gave him an interception by dropping a pass. But yeah, he's a very talented player. So if you need a tight end, he's a guy you'd want against the Jets. But yeah, Colts offense stock way up.
Yeah, they did what we said they were going to do last week. They settled for so many field goals, and they should have beat them by a lot more when you think about it. But that offense is starting to look better. Phillip didn't make any really bad throws. It was the Colts are the buy now team if you're looking at an offense.
I don't know, man. I still don't when I would watch that game, and there were throws Phillip Rivers still misses that don't look like timing issues. They look like an old quarterback. Like, he missed a few out routes that were wide open, and he just didn't make it to the wide receiver. I still have serious reservations about how good Philip Rivers can be, especially as the season keeps going and he takes hits. Now, the positive is Tony's Colts have a way better offensive line than Philip Rivers has had at any point during his career. Yeah. So I know that's been the big thing, and that's why a lot of people are positive on him. I still got to see a lot more out of Philip Rivers.
I think if he's not making the dangerous throws that are going to cause turnovers, like, that's the issue with him. If he's avoiding that, I think that offense has a high ceiling.
Well, I do like Frank Reich's team. I do like the fact that they very much committed to Jonathan Taylor, and they're essentially trying to take those high-risk plays away from him, which is smart. It's very smart, because if you can do that, you should be okay with Philip Rivers. But if you have to put the ball in his hands to win you the game, I mean, you saw it in week 1. What can happen? What's been happening recently? Because young Philip Rivers would lead those comebacks as he gets older, and he's in his late 30s. Like, these are things that happen to guys, right? Like, the father time is undefeated. That's all I'll say there. Moving on, I think really the biggest storyline from last week is the injuries. Like, it was we generally see like these rash of injuries in preseason. We didn't get preseason this year. And I mean, like, Saquon might be the biggest in terms of like fantasy. People know his name, but just look what happened to the San Francisco 49ers. They lose Joey Bosa. No, not Joey Bosa. Which Bosa?
Nick Bosa.
Nick Bosa. Joey Bosa is the Chargers Bosa. They lose Nick Bosa. They lose Saul Thomas, who's a 3rd overall pick. They lose I was about to say Matt Breida, but they lost Raheem Mostert. They lost Tevin Coleman. They lost Jimmy Garoppolo. Their court, like, everyone got hurt, and they were already without Deebo Samuel. They were already without George Kittle. Then you add the ACL on Saquon Barkley. Like, the list was insane.
Yeah, you forgot McCaffrey too.
Well, that's McCaffrey's ankle injury. He's out for weeks. That's a massive part of Carolina's offense. Like, I'm trying to just think, like, that was one of the more devastating weeks I remember ever.
Yeah, no question. But like this whole preseason idea, it's not like McCaffrey or Barkley would be getting like a ton of touches in the preseason anyways. Like, a big concern, a lot of people are saying how MetLife Stadium itself, like the turf is a problem. Because they've had like 3 guys.
Yes.
Like 3 guys have torn their ACLs in 2 weeks. And the Niners are back there next week too, which is crazy. So let's see how that goes.
Yes, right. They're playing the Giants. Jesus.
Yeah, this week.
Well, yeah.
That's what I mean.
Yeah. I know Shanahan was complaining post-game. I know players have complained about that turf, and then you saw that kind of devastation. That was absolutely wild. It was absolutely wild. And then if you're the Giants, no Saquon Barkley. I mean, Theo, I know you wanted to talk about the impact of running backs on lines, but God,
like the question I had, because I remember when the Von Miller injury happened and that line a bunch, like, to say, like, do you guys think that even Saquon Barkley would move a line like a Giants line that much? No. It's actually moving in their favor because of everything that's happened to the Niners, but even without Saquon, like, they weren't efficient running the ball at all anyway.
And he's got a bad offensive line. Saquon hasn't been good to start with. I don't know if it's necessary. We talked about this. I don't know if it's necessarily his fault or if it's necessarily like a Todd Gurley thing early in his career where he had no line and his numbers didn't look great. But that was because he had to make 2 people miss behind the line of scrimmage just to get no yards. And you see that with Saquon sometimes, him making a big juke just to actually get back to the line of scrimmage. So they got issues there, but I really can't see him moving the line that much for a bad Giants team. Like, if anything, to be honest, they might throw the ball more, which might actually keep them closer to teams. Again, the Giants are a tire fire. They're a bad team. They got a bad defense. They've got a bad offense. And they've got a quarterback who turns the ball over way too much. So I don't think Saquon should have a huge impact on the lines. But in terms of that team's ability to win football games, Saquon has a big impact on that.
How is Freeman going to fit in that offense, you think?
Well, Jason Garrett's still the coach. You know, Jason Garrett does things. He still run the ball a lot. Now, I don't think Freeman, like, I know the Giants going to have a lot of garbage time. So, honestly, I would say as far as pickups this week, I'd much rather pick up Lewis because I know he's going to get more passes. He scored a touchdown last week. He had a decent fantasy day, but he still only had 20 yards on 10 carries. So don't expect like big upside with those guys. You know who those guys are. But Freeman is another guy who's going to be picked up in waivers, but with him too, don't expect too much. You saw Saquon had 6 yards rushing week 1. Like Devontae Freeman's not doing better than that.
And Devontae Freeman's cooked. I watched him.
Yeah.
Like he's cooked. He's done, man. Like
it took this many injuries for him to get a job in the first.
That's what I mean. There's a reason he was without a team for this long. It's just he was a great story. He was a 4th or 5th round pick. He broke out with the Falcons. He had a great season, and then injuries took its toll. He was a small running back, and it just they stacked up, and he's not the same anymore.
Yeah, it happens.
That's the thing. It does happen.
And also with pickups, because we know McCaffrey's out, you'd want to get Mike Davis on your team if you can. He caught 8 passes for 74 yards in garbage time last week, and expect Carolina to have a lot of garbage time in the near future.
No, I'd agree with that. Moving on, I guess Justin Herbert, that was a big surprise. Tyrod Taylor being questionable at kickoff, and then not starting, and then he looked amazing. Like Herbert was making plays. He was making big plays. He was moving the chains. He was doing everything Tyrod couldn't do. And this is a rookie quarterback.
I know. Yeah. I was shocked. Like I had my reservations. Yeah, continue.
Having a guy like Eckler too was going to be really big for him. I don't know why Anthony Lynn is talking about Tyrod Taylor still. Like what is this like?
I think it's part of it because they were in Buffalo together, so he has that loyalty, but that's still really stupid.
Like at this point, you've seen quarterbacks start. Like, what's he benefiting going back to the bench now? Like he was they couldn't run their full offense. Like what? Have Tyrod miss half the passes? And like, what do you need from Tyrod that you can't develop with Herbert? Like you have to find out what you have here. And he showed way more than I thought he'd show in week 1 or week 2.
With all those weapons and with that defense, I know a rookie quarterback is going to turn the ball over more than Tyrod Taylor is. But Justin Herbert was actually taking shots. And not only that, he was pretty good with the football.
That one bad interception, that was pretty innocent.
He had one rookie interception that was pretty bad. But if you look at like a lot of those passes, he was putting it where his guy could get it. He wasn't putting a lot of passes in like very dangerous areas, like that could really hurt him until he had to and it got picked off, and that was a problem. But I like what he brings to that team. They have so many weapons. He at least gives them a chance on offense. Where I feel with Tyrod, you're literally just hoping the defense does it for you. You know what I mean? Maybe the running game gets it done, or you get a turnover and you short field and you get a touchdown. But Herbert can actually move, whereas Tyrod seems like you're trying not to lose, whereas Herbert is more a play for the win. And yeah, Theo, I don't understand what you're going to do. Send him back to the bench? Like he just showed he's better than the guy that's in front of him. So really, what are we doing here?
I saw the line moving in the Panthers' favor today, so I don't know if there's some other injury news there. I haven't looked too deeply into that game, so I'm not betting it. But what their quarterback situation is, it looks like because they're putting Tyrod, like that line is going in Carolina's favor a little bit, because I think it's at 6.5, 6 now. It was at 7.5 this morning.
So I had 7 last time. I don't know.
Yeah.
Let me check.
But also, like Herbert boosts Eckler tremendously compared to Tyrod, because Tyrod threw him the ball 1 time in week 1, and we know how much Eckler relies on catching passes.
Well, and you also have Justin Kelly pounding away. Like their offense looks better.
Yeah, so much better.
Exactly.
That's
I guess
Nighter.
I was about to say we can move on to the Sunday Nighter, boys. You guys got quite excited about this. I mean, Cam Newton threw for almost 400 yards. Russ threw for 5 touchdowns. We got the absolute shootout. These are the type of games you want in prime time. They're exciting. They're fun. Boys, what'd you think?
It was a lot of fun.
Exactly what I said was going to happen. Exactly what I said. I can't believe how good Cam Newton. What was that?
Out here, calling the future.
I completely fucked that up, to be honest. I got really lucky with the Seahawks. Cam Newton looked way better throwing the ball than I thought he was going to look this early in the season.
Oh, yeah.
Him and Edelman just torched that Seattle secondary. But again, you look at it looks like the Seattle Seahawks have figured it out as far as how to run an offense. Russell Wilson is going to have an MVP type year if they keep allowing him to do this kind of thing. And the way that game went, I don't see how they can go back to that way they were calling games. Giving Russ the reins like this has just been so big for them, and they're gonna be a very tough team, especially with the Niners down.
What's the stat for him? He has like as many touchdown passes as like incompletions, something like that.
Oh,
Well, that's the thing. Like, I know his incompletion total has been insanely low. In that Falcons game, he had like 4 or 5, and 2 of them were atrocious drops by DK. You know what I mean? They weren't his fault. They were wide open drops. It is insane the level that Russell Wilson is playing on. And I know a lot of people thought Bill Belichick might be trolling Lamar Jackson or Pat Mahomes by saying that Russ is the best quarterback, the best player in the NFL. I think Bill was being just dead serious.
He ran live about that.
He says
doesn't get compliments like that.
Like, you can play Josh McCown and he'll be like, oh, that guy's got experience. Like, he'll find a way to compliment. But in this case, I understand, like, this is, I think, Russ's year where everyone's going to be like, everyone knows he's an elite top quarterback, but this will be the year he finally gets the recognition by, like, MVP voters and stuff like that.
The fact that he has 0 first-place MVP votes is insane to me.
Yeah, that was weird. I heard that on the broadcast. That was
like, I saw that stat and was just like, what? Excuse me? Like 0? Really? Russell Wilson? Okay.
Remember the narrative when he first started? It was all like, oh, it's the Russell Wilson. He's not doing anything. That defense is carrying the team. It like recently switched the last few years, but in the beginning of his career, it was a lot of like Russell's overpaid. He's not like worth the money. But it seemed
when he first got that extension. Why'd you give him that? Like, you're going to have to get rid of the defensive guys now, and they're the one that won you everything. And then you started to realize, no, they signed their quarterback. They know what they're doing. He is one of the best. One of, like, not just quarterback, he's one of the best football players in the entire league.
He's improved a lot.
Yeah. That 3rd and 1, though, that deep throw on 3rd and 1 in the game almost really fucked us bad. Me and Tony had the Seahawks. I don't know what the hell that was.
They do that a lot because they did it against the Falcons to DK for a tutty, which made.
But like, it's 3rd and 1, you got to clinch the game. Well, you got to, like, I understand throwing a 3rd down if you want to, like, keep, like, that's not a bad idea. But to go deep with that, like, doesn't make any sense. They did it to the Eagles in the wild card and it worked, but I don't know.
They do it a lot. It's a thing they do. They take shots. I think it's when Russ calls the plays because they've done it with different offensive coordinators. You know what I mean? But if it's 3rd and short with that Seahawks team, you better be ready for that thing to go over the top because they could take it deep.
At the end of early in the game, I understand, but when you're trying to salt away a game, that was a little bit weird to me at least. But overall, I like what they're doing, and if Pete Carroll stays out of their way, they're going to be fine.
Just real quick before we get to the bets, I just want to mention Drew Brees looks bad. He looks very, very bad.
Hate to see it.
It is like. Tony, what was that stat you sent me? He was like 5 of 9 for passes.
5 for 9 on passes over 10 yards and 0 for 1 on pass over 20. The fact that he only attempted 1 pass over 20 yards, you can't win a game if you're losing.
No, well, that's the thing. And they're behind. How the hell are you going to come back like that? Like, Alvin Kamara is an unbelievable talent. He cannot do it by himself. He needs help. The only person that could do it by himself was when Adrian Peterson had Christian Ponder as his quarterback and rushed for 2,000 yards. That's the only time someone's done it by themselves.
Yeah.
They give Brady all this shit for his own, but Breeze, it's been like really, really noticeably bad. And I keep seeing Jameis on the sidelines. I'm like, when are they gonna actually do this?
That's the interesting thing, man. Like, you got Jameis there, and hey, we'll move on to our bets. But Tom Brady had some throws in the Panthers game where it looked like his arm, like he threw the ball harder than I've seen him throw it in 3 or 4 years. And Drew Brees just continues to look older, and like the ball just flutters more and more. But that's going to be something to watch because that is not good. Now we'll jump into our bets. Unless Tony, do you have any fantasy nuggets for the people?
Well, speaking of the Saints, you saw Traquan Smith on Monday. He had a nice game. He's filling Michael Thomas's role, so. If he's available in your league, you want him on your team. As bad as Drew Brees is, all those checkdowns, he's going to be catching them.
Yeah,
and he has the ability to break them, make big plays. Yeah, exactly. And also, I was going to mention the Thursday night game because there is a lot of guys available in leagues that can really help you in that game. I'm going to start with Mike Gesicki, the tight end, who had 8 catches, 124 yards on Sunday.
Good call, Tony.
He was unbelievable on Sunday. That one-handed catch was incredible. And the good thing about him is they use him in the slot a lot. So he has a lot of time on the field. a lot of times spaced out away from the line of scrimmage. That's a good indicator on if a tight end's going to be good or not, fantasy-wise, catching the ball. He's a huge part of that offense, and Jacksonville just gave up how many yards to Jonnu Smith last week? Jonnu Smith went
on
absurd.
big plays, too. Not to mention Fitzmagic loves big targets. He loves throwing jump balls. Remember that year with the Jets where he had Brandon Marshall and Eric Decker, and they just went nuts? He loves big boys. I like that play a lot, Tony.
Exactly. And I like, obviously, start Preston Williams, start Devontae Parker. They're all going to have nice games. But Jacksonville, they're putting up points 2 weeks in a row, had a big shootout loss last week. Obviously, Minshew's a guy you're going to want in your lineup probably. But Keelan Cole, back-to-back weeks with a touchdown. He's got 100 yards in 2 weeks, 11 catches. Chark is still good. But also you got Shenault to add as well. He's good too. And Jerome Robinson has established himself as a viable starting running back in every league. He had another good week last week. So, yeah, there's a lot of guys you can add in this game. There's going to be a lot of points. The more I think about it, I know I said don't trust me with a total, but the number of 47.5, that might seem kind of low.
Ooh, spicy.
Yeah.
It's gonna be 13-10.
That's because I said it, yeah.
Tony over Jinx.
The mush.
Yeah.
Theo?
Doing bets? Okay. So I got 3 that I locked in. I got a lot of leans that I'm waiting either on injuries or numbers to fall, depending on what the situation. The first one I tweeted out, Colts -7. Sports Interaction just gives you a gift every week. I've started to learn this. I started betting with them this year. That and Bet365, I still have some money left. But every week, it seems like there's one line that's just super off or that's going to get bet super hard right away. The Colts were open to -7. I wasn't even looking at that game, but just seeing that number, you have to take it. Rivers, again, we talked a lot about the Colts, probably too much about the Colts, but Rivers, I like the way that offense is progressing with him. They settled for a lot of field goals. I think there's a lot of room for that offense to get even better. They do have the injuries at wide out, but I don't think it's going to matter that much this week. If you missed the number, I don't really recommend it now, but hopefully you saw it on Twitter and you were able to get it early. The next one, Falcons -3, because they're really reliable late in games, and it's a good idea to take them. But in this situation, I know Steve's never gonna back me on one of these plays, but I think this is a great spot for the Falcons. They're playing the Bears, playing a Bears team that is completely overvalued. Trubisky has looked better, but I still don't like him again in a better matchup. I know the defense for the Falcons is bad, but you look at the way this game sets up, the Falcons will be able to score. They're going to be able to put pressure on the Bears offense to have to match them. I don't see how the Bears can do it. This is going to be the first week when you start to see, the Bears offense isn't like what we were, trying to make it out to be. Trubisky still is not where he needs to be. I think this is a good spot for the Falcons. Took it at -3. It's already moving to -3.5. I don't know where to close. It might get some more Falcon money, but we'll see. I think it's still playable at 3.5. And then I got Tennessee -1.5 because for some reason money keeps coming in on the Vikings. I don't understand why people are rushing to bet the Vikings, but that secondary is such an issue for them. Cousins is a fucking piece of shit. I don't see anything but this Falcons offense. That was a little aggressive. I know. I'm sorry. I don't know why he got so angry at Kirk Cousins for no reason. I think it's because of that over last week. That really pissed me off. Just a competent Cousins is easily hits that over. But anyways, you look at the Titans. Looks like Jonnu Smith, Corey Davis is coming along. That offense is looking okay. I'm a little concerned about the defense. The Jags were able to score on them, but it seems like the Jags more competent offense than Minnesota at this point. Jags can actually make stuff happen with Minshew. I think it's a situation where you grab it under 3, you grab the Titans, and then I don't see how that's a problem at all. Looking at the leans, I was looking at the Tampa Bay Bucks team under just because of Brady's performances in Denver. Still want to wait on some injury news and looking at that a little deeper. I was on the Rams money line early, did some more research. I'm not loving anymore. Took it off the board. It's also being bet a lot in the Rams' favor. I don't know if I love that right now. Packers, I was looking at the under. It's at 51.5. It's about 51. I think that could be playable. Again, I didn't lock that in yet, though. The Raiders, Patriots over. And then maybe Chiefs +3.5 because it seems to keep going up that line. That could be a play if you're looking for a Monday night play. But none of those last ones are locked in. You just got those 3. So what do you got?
The 2 I've locked in, I've talked about how much I love Aaron Rodgers, how much he's the baddest man in the NFL. And I have to take the Packers money line. Like, the fact that it's actually gone up. Like, when I woke up this morning, I should have jumped on it yesterday before the game, before the Saints game, because they were plus 160. So I waited. I jumped on it, got them at plus 140 this morning. They actually dropped all the way down to plus 115. They're back up right now to plus 145.
What happened?
Sorry?
Did some injury happen? It's a weird.
I'm trying to figure out exactly what the hell is going on here, to be fully honest with you, because I'd like to know. I haven't heard anything like massive and game changing. The fact that the Packers money line has been moved up this much, but it's just everything I saw from that Packers offense and what I've seen from Aaron Rodgers. Like, there was a bit of a worry at the beginning of the game. He started slow. He was like 2 for 7 or 3 for 7, and then he went and completed like 10 straight passes. Aaron Jones started ripping off big runs. That offense looks like they're going, and that defense, I think, is going to give problems to Drew Brees, because if he can't go over the top, because that's sometimes where these young Packers corners can be susceptible, is on double moves and when guys blow past them when they try to bump and run. If Drew Brees can't throw the ball deep, and you're going to let these guys, and they don't have Michael Thomas, you know what I mean? And you're going to let these guys play up. And, hey, maybe Kenny Clark can get back into the lineup, because I know he was inactive for the last game. He's got a hamstring issue, but he's a big guy in the middle of that run defense. And the Packers' run defense looked pretty good against the Lions. You know what I mean? Like, there was a big run by Adrian Peterson to the outside, but other than that, they were shutting down a lot of the stuff to the middle. And I love the Packers here.
I have some news.
I found a few too. Davante Adams?
Yeah.
Yeah. They also have offensive line stuff they're working through. That's why the line is.
I know Davante Adams had the injury, didn't play the rest of that. Didn't play the rest of the Lions game. It's just, I don't know, man. They put up almost 30 of those points completely without Davante Adams. It's just, when I look at this Saints team, I don't know what they're going to do on defense to slow down this combination that can happen. Like, look what the Raiders just did to them. You know what I mean? And the Raiders are interesting, but do you think Derek Carr is great? Do you think any of their wide receivers are great? Darren Waller is very interesting, but like, Henry Ruggs was banged up. There's so much wrong with this. Even without Davante Adams, like that, I'll take the money line straight up here. And that's why I'm all over it. The other thing I like is the Washington football team +7 against the Browns. And I like it solely because the Browns are a tire fire. The Browns are an absolute mess. I can't see them winning this game by more than a touchdown. I think Washington's going to cover here. I don't feel frisky enough to bet the Washington money line because, I've watched Dwayne Haskins play. But the Browns are such a disaster. I think Washington can keep this game close enough that they're going to cover the 7 points. I got those two locked in already. The -7 by Washington is still up there. If you want to jump on it, just confirm it's still -110. It hasn't really moved. It's been 7 points since I looked at it yesterday. It's still 7 points. I feel like 7 points is pretty fair, but I still feel like they're going to cover it. My big lean is I'm staring hard at this Arizona Cardinals Detroit Lions game. The line was dropping because I believe it opened at 7.5, and then it was down to 5.5, and it's back at 6. I'm staring a hole through this game. I can probably take it at 6. I'm pretty confident that Arizona is going to be able to win this game, and I think they should win by a touchdown. The only thing that worries me, if Kenny Galladay's back, Detroit does have a bit of an offense that can do damage. So I'm a little worried. That's why I haven't locked it in. And the way that the line was fluctuating, I'm going to hold out a little hope that it'll drop a little bit. But yeah, this is one that I'm leaning to. I haven't locked in yet, but I do like it. Tony, do you have anything, any other plays?
I'm watching the Bronco line. Any game the Broncos are at home, I'm watching it, no matter who's playing for the Broncos. I'm watching right now. It's +6, but it's -115. So I'm waiting it out a little bit until it gets a little more in the Broncos' favor. Other than that, not much for me right now. Jaguars -3 +100 is interesting, but I don't want to get involved in that game. I think anything can happen.
Yeah, it's such a crapshoot, that game. Yeah, it's kind of a mess. All right, boys. Anything else you guys want to get to?
We're all good. Take your Cincinnati Bengal tight end props. I don't know who the tight end is, but take it.
They don't even have one right now.
We don't even know who the hell it is.
So, yeah.
But don't worry, Joe Burrow's going to find us.
Yeah. I think that's it, though. Follow our website. I'll be making more plays, and I'll have full of write-ups on all the plays I do make. Steve, I think you will too, and Tony will be something.
I'll have the Sunday. I blog every Sunday morning. I throw up the picks that I've locked in. You'll see blogs on our website, TorontoOnTilt.com, just randomly throughout the week. We cover football. We cover other sports. We talk about everything on the website. Check us out there. You definitely want to add it to the list of sports sites that you go and check out when you're making your decisions, making your bets and stuff like that. On top of that, find us on YouTube, Toronto on Tilt. Like, comment, subscribe. This video will be up there. The audio version of this podcast will be available everywhere except for Google until they fucking approve us. But it's coming, boys. We're approved on Apple and Spotify and Anchor and Breaker and all of these podcast services that I don't even know what they do. We are being distributed on them. But Google is taking their sweet ass time. We'll be there eventually for everyone who likes Google Play. We will be available on all platforms. You can also find us on Twitter at Toronto on Tilt. You can follow me at Steve Artabello. You can follow Ant at Ant Show. And you can follow Theo at Theo Giordano. That's been another episode of the Toronto on Tilt podcast. That is week 3. Our bets, our teams, some fantasy insight from Tony. And we'll be back from week 4. Hit you guys with some more stuff.